Welcome back for part two of a multi-part video here. I think I'm going to try these 10-minute chunks and then just upload them a piece at a time. So next, I'm going to jump to the color code, so the end of my trip. Color code, they do a lot of, they do mostly Rezo, and they do some workshops. They share a space with some screen printers. Who do kind of work for bands. And actually, when I came in, I was carrying a bag from this record store called Rotate This. I bought a couple of records from them, and bought a bag as well too, because I just like the look of it, and I like I have another bag from a record shop in Montreal and that sort of thing, so it's almost like a separate, very tiny, of like 2 or 3 different bags from record shops. And that bag was actually printed in the shop that they share the space with. So color code, it's one of those things that I try to I don't try to line up these trips with anything, but when I get into these trips, I usually do a little search where I'm going, depending on how much time I have, to see if there's anything I can catch while I'm there, or looking for specific places that I want to visit. This one's really about the comic shops and color code and stuff. And they do Rezo workshops. It was happening the day after I left, so I came home on Monday. They had a workshop on Tuesday. It's usually a limited space thing. They take you through the process, and then you get to do I think it's a 2-color print, which is a fantastic idea. I've got a couple of my images that I would love to see in print form, especially the Rezo process, because I like that texture to it. So unfortunately, that didn't work out. So when I was talking to her, and I apologize, I'm blanking on her name right now. I want to say Lisa, but I'm not sure if that's right. I'm really sorry about that. I do have a business card somewhere. She gave me her card to get in touch with her afterwards. So I went in and kind of just chatted with her, and she was telling me about how it started. Apparently her husband and Michael DeForge, the cartoonist, are friends, and they had went in to buy a Rezo machine together. So she said, all of a sudden in our apartment, I was sharing space with this kind of machine. And if you don't know what they look like, which I'd never seen one in person, just photos, they're about the size of kind of a photocopier, except there's a spot for drums of ink, and you can change out that color and then put these plates on that then get etched with the image. And you can use those plates. One thing she was talking about was, because they kind of rub along these rollers, the paper goes through this kind of drum roller and these rubber rollers to keep it kind of moving through. She said eventually things starts to deteriorate, which then adds to that overall quality. There wasn't really, from what she was saying, there wasn't really like a magical number of, if you do 1,000 prints, your plate is going to deteriorate X amount. It's kind of depending on the image, depending on the ink, depending on the paper, all of these things. So they bought this first Rezo machine and put it in their apartment. And then, of course, other cartoon friends, comic book friends, saw that they had one, and decided, hey, could you make something for me? So they started kind of amassing this core group of people that would want access to this machine. Next thing you know, they're buying another one. Next thing you know, they're buying another one. I believe they had 4 in there at the time when I was visiting them. So they found this warehouse space, and again, I think they share it with 2 other groups of people, so they're pretty crammed into a corner. They don't really have a storefront. They do have stuff for sale in there. And I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't get a chance to do the class, because the thing that, again, I feel like I have I feel like I'm able to figure a lot of things out, but when it comes to computers, I have this disconnect, and I just can't quite figure it out. It's just that step outside my kind of box that I can't seem to get a grasp on it. So when it comes to things like color separation and using Photoshop and these type of programs, I just can't get a grasp on it. I've tried even watching tutorials, and I just can't really, I don't know, something just doesn't click with me. So the idea of being able to take a workshop to learn that process from somebody and take like a simpler image that's only 2 colors and working with that to try to get a handle on it is super appealing. She said that they end up doing work with people as well who don't know much about the computer side of things. And one of the books that I bought from her was this one called QP Comics. And she said that these guys are kind of in that boat. They just send them the images and then they take over the color separations. So she said that once a year, what they'll do is they'll have kind of they'll have something kind of, you can get 50 prints for $50 plus the shipping and stuff. And she said if you have a simpler image, especially if it's only 2 or 3 colors, we can do the separations for you. Just let us know. So I would love to do something with the UMFM stuff, with the radio show stuff, when we have the fund drive, when we're kind of looking for money from people. And again, I think I've said this last year because my idea was to get a shirt done for that. I think something like this might be a good incentive as well. I'm actually just got to follow through on one of these ideas to make it happen. This one I would love to do, though. It seems pretty realistic. I've got some images that I like already. I would like to kind of try some lettering specific to the radio show and UMFM, and maybe have kind of a limited run print that comes with, hey, if you donate like 10 or 15 or $20 or whatever, you get this kind of one-off print. So it was really great to be able to see the place, and it was really, really nice of her to spend the time and show me around and kind of bring stuff to my attention. And we talked about the Tower Aya stuff. I asked her about Arrington Diadinizo, who was a vocalist and musician from Old Time Religion and does stuff solo. I've been a fan of his forever. She was telling me that they had as well, and it basically, the relationship came up. They ran into him at some event and kind of went up and like, hey, are you Arrington? We're a big fan of your music, and kind of just hit it off in kind of like a fanboy kind of way, which is great. And then started working with him, people like Gun Show, some local artists. She had some prints for sale as well too. I ended up picking up one for my daughter Lillian, which I think is beautiful. It's not down here, unfortunately, otherwise I'd show it off to you. So it was a really good experience, and it's one of those things that kind of, you know, people who are associated with the arts and things, it can kind of be a hit or miss experience, right? You can get people that are like this experience, incredibly friendly and open and inviting and really just easy to talk to, and there's no sense of kind of pretension and that sort of thing. And then it can really go the other way, that if you're not really in with it, then they don't really want to give you the time of day. And I shouldn't limit that just to kind of art type people. That happens in any kind of human interaction, I guess, to some degree. But this was absolutely a positive experience, and I'm really glad because I'm such fans of what they do. So I got a few things. Like I said, I got that print. I got this QP Comics, which is pretty fun. Has some kind of sketches in the middle, but then the first half is a comic strip, and it looks like each of the artists kind of, I believe they alternate pages. So you get a couple of different styles. Yeah, here's a good example. So you get a couple of different styles on each page. Really entertaining, funny little story, and then some kind of ads and things in the back. So that's a really nice book there. The other thing that they're doing, and I'd seen these online, it's something that they just kind of started doing, were these color swatches. And I figured if I was going to do some image, it would be a great idea to get, these are the colors that they have, and then they give you kind of the gradations. So let's take one that you can see here. So what do we got without my glasses here? Let's turn it the right way around. That'll work. So we go 100, 75, 50, 25, and 10. So 100%, 75, 50, 25, and 10% opacity there. So it gives you a sense. And then the actual name of the color at the top, which I don't know if you can see. There you go. What does that say? Raspberry? Raspberry Pantone, I believe is what that says. So that was really great, just to have kind of the selection of colors. So when I'm doing this piece and kind of putting something together, limiting the colors, I can kind of really try to limit it to 2 or 3. I think it might make a nice 3-color image at the most. So that's really great to have that color swatch. Of course, she put all the comics in a bag, and I had to save the bag because That's just the kind of nerd that I am. Dogs in a Pile by Ben Clark, a newer one from them. And then she also threw in kind of little thank you card and a Arrington Di Dinizo print or offcut, another little book as well. And this one is very entertaining, really, really funny. So yeah, that was a great experience. And if you haven't already from watching my videos, check out Color Code, check out their site. Again, I will forget to put the link in the description below, so if you check it out, you won't see it there. So I think that was all that's within reach here. Yeah, so there you go. Part 2. I'll come right back and we'll talk about some of the comics that I found.